Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Butterfly Effect Podcast. It's our BYB series, episode 4, titled Hangry for Revenge. I'm Jack, and as always, I'm joined by Liam.
How's it going? By the way, can I stop you? Did you say hangry?
Yeah.
As in hungry, angry?
That's what it's called, Hangry for Revenge, yeah.
Okay, this is going to be an interesting episode. Carry on.
Yeah. Right, guys, so obviously you know how this works. We're going to give you a quick rundown on what happens in this podcast episode, and then we'll do a little bit of speculation on the things that we've found. So, first of all, mate, an update on the dead body in the woods from episode 1. Do you remember me telling you that Anton said that there was a chance that the kid was lying to the police, that there was no dead body and it was all a bit of a hoax?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was, apparently. The kid cried wolf, so to speak, and he did it to scare his girlfriend. Now, I've got to say that when I first heard this, I was thinking, is that really the case? Is that just sort of like a wasted storyline? Or has the kid suddenly like backtracked for some particular reason? I don't know what your thoughts on that, but also as well, I do wonder if he did do it to scare his girlfriend to stop her going to Hackett's Quarry, maybe the girlfriend is a character that we're going to play in the game. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's intriguing. To react freshly to that is difficult. I'm going to need to process that and kind of analyse and link it to, because I don't think it's the kind of thing where they'd throw that random story in there for no avail. I think there has to be a link somehow, right? So yeah, I'm going to have time to think about that one, mate.
Yeah, that's cool. So moving on, they're really sticking with this ghost theme. So in this particular episode, they were talking about the White Lady, also known as the Hag or the Wretched Woman. And this is essentially a mythology. It can change varying by country and place, but essentially the main theme is that there's a woman that's been betrayed, she's been hurt, she's been abandoned, she's just been negatively treated in some kind, and she comes back as a vengeful spirit, hence why she's called all of the titles that I mentioned previously. And then Grace tells this story about this guy who was so scared that his wife would cheat on him that when he went off to war, he locked his wife in the basement, and she then starved to death, kinda, but before she did, she started eating herself, which I thought was quite a nice nod to the cannibalism in Until Dawn, perhaps. But it got me thinking as well, like, again, did they tell this story for a particular reason? Could it be that, you know, Wendigos are coming back in the quarry? Could it just be a nice sort of background story that we can learn about as we're playing the game? I don't know. But yeah, like, they were really drumming this whole thing home. They were talking about how when you encounter her, you can experience her intense hunger, and that hunger is sort of represented for, you know, her hunger for revenge, you know, hence the title Hangry for Revenge. And it was because of the way, you know, she was treated, and as such, she punishes people for infidelity, abandonment, murder and greed, and rewards people for faithfulness and commitment to family. So quickly, before I ask what you think on that, mate, for me personally, I think that they're talking about Eliza in this case. And, you know, I do think that maybe she does have a role to play as like this morally ambiguous figure. You know, she might sort of really come down hard on you if you're sort of if there was a character cheating on their partner, if there was a character that was to commit murder or something like that. So maybe you have this narrator that actually is pivotal into what our decisions are going forward, out of sheer fear that she could actually come and hurt them some way.
Yeah, no, I've got a few points to mention there. Like, firstly, I agree. I reckon it's Eliza. Obviously, she mentions that quote in the Instagram stories, like, my choices were taken from me. Maybe that's related. You can link that. Another thing I was going to mention as well, actually, there's a parallel here. You mentioned the story about the man who would lock his wife in a basement. Now, that's very similar to, with wolves, how, you know, a wolf might lock themselves in a basement, you know. So yeah, there's some parallels where we could probably link it to the Quarry story itself. So yeah, it was yeah, no, very good points there, mate. And yeah, I completely agree. I reckon Eliza's absolutely linked here.
Yeah, and I think as well, I saw in the trailer, I mean, it might not be a basement, I'm not sure, but I watched the trailer again and it did look like that the characters were in some sort of basement at one point. So I don't know if this story that Grace was telling has actually some sort of background bearing on the plot, but I think it's worth remembering. And moving on, so she then talks about this woman. I don't know if it's the same woman or if it must have been a different story, but she then said how there's this woman who drowned herself because her husband left her for another woman. And this really got me thinking about this whole Anne Radcliffe thing and the skull that was at the bottom of this lake. Obviously, she's missing. She's not been found. So could it be potentially that the skull at the bottom of that lake we saw in that Instagram story is Anne Radcliffe? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, very good points. It's just, you know, a nice 2 and 2 there. You mentioned about a lady who's drowned herself. There's a skull in the water underneath the pier in the Instagram stories. It could definitely be the same person. And this whole thing you mentioned about, like, the unfaithfulness and, you know, commitment, that kind of thing, it's quite an interesting angle, and it's not one I saw coming, to be honest. We've been looking at, you know, possibly hillbillies hunting. We've been looking at wolves, you know, like quite the prey thing, you know, teens getting drunk on a summer camp, possibly trespassing. Never would I have, you know, imagined that there's this whole kind of like moral sort of angle from a potential ghost. But it's definitely going to change the way I play my game. I'm going to be absolute good boy when I play the Quarry, I guess.
Yeah. Because I know we've said previously, we've said we want to be able to create, you know, have moments where you're selfish, really, but it ends up saving your life, like in Until Dawn, where sort of you play as Matt and you can jump to safety and such. But yeah, it's potential. I mean, it is just part of the background for, you know, this wretched woman, the hag, the white lady, whatever you want to call her. But they were really drumming home on it, so it could potentially tie it into the game. But otherwise, that's it, guys, for Hangry for Revenge episode 4. It's looking likely that episode 5 will come out before the Quarry. They seem to be roughly every 2 weeks long, but I think it'll be interesting to see when episode 6 comes out. Is it going to be right before the Quarry? Is it going to come out potentially after the Quarry? I don't know. So give us your thoughts in the comments section. Maybe you've spotted something and you want to share it. Please do that. And yeah, thanks for the ongoing support, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.
All right, you take care, guys. See you soon.